with Kent Yoshimura, CEO and co-founder of Neuro. We're on CEOs You Should Know. Welcome to
Yeah,
iHeart.
thanks for
You're
having
at
me.
the
I'm stoked to be
headquarters
here.
here in New York, all
Yeah,
the
that's
way in
right.
from Las Vegas. So, Kent, we're thrilled to have you here today. The program really explores businesses and CEOs, entrepreneurs, so we can learn a little bit more about what's going on out there, especially with an amazing product that you have with Neuro. So we're thrilled to have you in. And from what I understand, your journey with Neuro began on a scuba diving trip.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to see if you could walk us through that light bulb moment you had and how it evolved into launching a functional gum company.
Yeah, I mean, it started a little before a scuba diving trip, I guess. My relationship with my co-founder started in college. We were roommates, became best friends really quickly. We met in Japanese class. And I was training pretty seriously in martial arts at the time. I was training with the judo Olympic team out in Japan.
Oh, wow.
I was going to Thailand, fighting Muay Thai out in the stadiums out there, something I've been doing my entire life. And supplements that were available for me for energy were the I'm not even gonna name them, but the energy drinks of the world, right? Like
Right.
filled with sugar, you don't know how much caffeine's in them, or way too much caffeine's in them, or like coffee, and you're not gonna drink a coffee before you work out.
Right.
I don't think,
Yeah. Yeah.
But when Ryan, who's also an incredible athlete, captain of his cross country and track team, one of the fastest kids in California, took their team to state nationals. He got in a really bad snowboarding accident when he was a sophomore in college, broke his spine, became paraplegic.
Oh,
And
geez.
the supplements that I was mixing that I knew was helping me, that was straying away from these things that I didn't want to put in my body, were the things I started giving him. And it started working, really, it worked for him really well because it wasn't just energy, but it was also focus
Right.
to allow him to get back into school, get his life back on track. And then on a scuba diving trip, we both realized, all these supplements, these things don't really fit the lifestyle that we want to live, which is active, having something that's portable, convenient, ready to go. And the idea of gum and mints, an industry that hasn't been innovated in a very long time,
Yeah.
outside of whitening your teeth,
Right.
was an obvious delivery system for all these things that we wanted.
Wow. That's incredible. So you had mentioned your competitive martial arts on top of being an entrepreneur and the other hats that you wear. Talk about some of the experiences along the way in your life that really got you to approach this brand Neuro and to develop it.
Yeah, I mean, performance has always been a key to who I am. I've been a competitive athlete almost my entire life, also an artist. I was working in music for a while, and that was like an industry that you guys know. It's like
Yeah.
radio's nonstop, music's nonstop. And I think the function of energy with focus, so energy with something, was so critical for how I wanted to live my life, where it was just something that was uncontained, but almost disciplined, similar to my martial arts, disciplined in a way that I could approach my life in a more effective manner, was something that I think even now we embed into the brand mantra, the brand culture.
Yep. Understood. We're here on CEOs You Should Know with Kent Yoshimura, CEO and co-founder of Neuro. I wanted to talk about actually creating that new form for caffeine and how bold that was. You had mentioned, is essentially a stale industry that hadn't done anything like ever done anything like this. How did you gain the confidence, taking a chance, taking a risk, and what can you tell young entrepreneurs on maybe an idea they have and taking a chance and being bold?
Yeah, I mean, being naive is the best way to get into anything. And I think Ryan and I were super naive. We were, I went on GoDaddy and I was like, is this domain name available? Neurogum.com? It was. We were like, that's it. That's an idea. Like, that has to be a sign from
Check
something.
the box for the
Yeah,
day.
check the box for the day. And we started iterating on it, mixing, like different compounds, like literally in my dorm room at the time. And finally found a formulator and a chemist that was able to create it into a gum format.
Yeah.
And what's funny is if you tasted that V1, dude, it was like the worst thing you could put in your mouth.
Yeah.
But we knew it, but it worked, right? And it worked way better than anything we've taken before. So over the course of just like really being bullish and resilient and not giving up on this idea that you really think is going to work, we finally got to this point where, we're distributed where we are. We have big people talking about us. So it's like a journey that when you really believe in what you've created and you trust the product,
Hmm.
then the functions, the forms, like the things that creates a business
Yeah.
really follow behind.
We're going to talk about some of those big people that talk about your
All
brand
right.
shortly. But before we do that, you just mentioned your partner, Ryan
Yep.
Chen. Let's talk about some of the strengths that Ryan brings to the table and
Yeah.
areas that maybe compensate for you as a leader.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan runs brand partnerships.
Yeah.
So if you meet him, he'll be your best friend. And like people who meet Ryan know this. Like he'll be your best friend immediately.
Yeah.
He knows how to charm people. He's incredibly charming. He's incredibly, thoughtful, put together. And his strengths really come in when we go to these, just when we put ourselves out there and come to the table. How do we present ourselves as founders in the best light? And Ryan knows how to do that in presenting the brand
Right.
in the best light through himself.
Right. Kind of like a front of house guy and then back of house
Oh
guy.
yeah, kind of, I guess.
Yeah. Um, Kent, you've aligned with some major performers like Steve Aoki
Yeah.
and Yuki Tsunoda. What do you do when you look for a strategic partnership? How do you go about a collaboration to shape company culture and align with the culture that you want the company to represent?
Yeah, I mean, our brand strategy, I say brand strategy, but it's really just like the core of what Neuro is
Mhm.
someone that, as a founder-led company, really represents someone similar to us. People who want to do more, people who want to experience life without necessarily being held back by like, look at Ryan,
Yep.
paraplegic does not stop him from literally doing anything. He's the most able-bodied person that I know. And when I look at someone like a Steve Aoki, who's the most toured musician in the world, or Yuki Tsunoda, who's literally an F1 race car driver,
Yeah.
driving at insane speeds with crazy reaction times, those are the people that have really gone out there and encapsulated this notion of what it takes to have energy, focus, and in the moment.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I'm sure there's more partnerships that you'll be announcing over the years.
Yeah.
So we're excited to see that. As the company continues to grow, how do you keep Neuro true to your original mission while scaling operations and, of course, exploring new partnerships, new markets
Yeah.
as you take on the globe?
I mean, the most important thing, and this is something I learned, as our team's like 78 people or something now. Like it's much bigger than obviously just me and Ryan in
Yeah.
a dorm room, right? It's the values and the principles of how the leaders need to operate become more and more important.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I constantly keep aligning people on is what are Neuro's leadership principles? And then how do they translate into the workspace values, like the employee values? Like how does the team take what you have and how you represent yourself and cascade it down onto how they operate as people?
Right.
And I honestly think those are like principles for life too. The way people see you is how they're going to usually interact with you as well.
That's great. I'm sure you've got all 70 of those people are very happy being part of the Neuro
I hope
organization.
so.
Let's talk about the wellness space. Where do you see the functional wellness space headed in the next 3 to 5 years, and how will you continue to position Neuro to lead in that particular space?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because, one of the there were a few catalyst moments
Yeah.
within our company. Obviously, we were on Shark Tank, Joe Rogan spoke about us. And if Joe Rogan ended up doing more for us on a revenue impact basis than Shark Tank did. And we think it's because and then the third catalyst was TikTok.
Yeah.
And the common thread between the Rogan and TikTok effect is people trust each other almost more than they trust the entities and organizations,
Right.
and that kind of like breaking down of institutional trust and more trust in like your fellow man, woman
Right.
is, I think, how people are going to be looking at health and wellness. And beyond that, what is the science behind what you're saying? What is like the clinical research? How are those things all coming together and being translated through a layman versus an overly complicated, sometimes like an ideology that's
Yeah.
being pushed onto you.
Yeah.
So I see the health and wellness space becoming more almost like democratic in a
Gotcha.
sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And congratulations on all the success that you've had again
Oh,
with
thanks, man. Yeah.
your celebrities that are talking about you. And of course, to your point, the communities that have talked about you themselves and trust each other, as you said.
Yeah, more than I mean, it's kind of like a testament to the product itself, and really like we take it. I probably take it way too much, It's like hitting the bottom line, but it's like a testament to what we were saying earlier, which is like, how do you believe in what you create,
Yeah,
and would you be willing to stand behind it yourself?
exactly. We're here on CEOs You Should Know at iHeartMedia HQ here in New York City with Kent Yoshimura, CEO, co-founder of Neuro. And Kent, thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. And you're headed back to Vegas soon to go back home, I think you were mentioning. With launching the company, there's obviously challenges that you guys had. You mentioned the formula and
Yeah.
V1. What are some other challenges in a challenging business world to operate in, and how do you overcome those? How do you keep it together?
Yeah, what's funny is even the moments that we had like a trademark lawsuit filed on us, like right after Shark Tank, because we got national attention, obviously.
Right.
And Ryan and I stressed out, go to our investors, and he's like, "What do we do? Like, we've never been in a position where our company could go under because of like something legal." And our investors like, "Congratulations, you've arrived." And it's interesting because there's so many moments, and knock on wood, like that hasn't happened again, but like there's so many moments when you're a first time entrepreneur that you start dealing with these different things. Like maybe it's a supply chain issue, maybe it's a cash flow issue. Over time, you start navigating, learning, conditioning yourself to work through all these problems and identifying them as like already risks and opportunities
Hmm.
until you don't think about them anymore. There are things that progressively just become part of your system, your process that you're able to deal with until you can focus on growth. You can focus on things that drive the business forward.
Yeah. I would say to my son, I'm okay with you making mistakes, but start making new ones.
Yeah, yeah. There we go. That's good.
I love that you're talking about yourself being a young entrepreneur with your partner, Ryan. And there's a lot of young entrepreneurs that tune into the show. So, what advice would you give to those young people, especially when a very overcrowded CPG space
Yeah.
and the health and wellness space? And what would you give for advice for people that just don't know where to start, but they've got that idea that they had, how do we get them to the scuba diving shining moment?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna give two pieces of advice. One is more technical, and I think the other one is more just from like a personal level. Again, Ryan and I were so we didn't know anything about business, right? And so naive and starry-eyed, and we saw this thing and just jumped into it. And almost not thinking about something is sometimes the best way to think about it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just funny. Like I mean, even as like an athlete and your kids playing hockey, like
yeah,
you get into that flow state. It's almost like you just need to enter into this zone where it's like, okay, I'm gonna commit. I'm gonna start this thing. It may work, it may not work, but at least I did it, and I'm gonna learn from it. I'm not making that same mistake again.
yeah.
So that's like my more, I guess, like philosophical answer. But from, I guess, a business answer, all businesses, at least in my opinion, operate on a few things, right? There's operations, there's finance, there's marketing, and there's sales.
Hmm.
Identifying what your strengths are, or your co-founder and your strengths are within those four fields, those four departments, and then finding people that you could garner, because like business is people, the company you keep, right,
Yep.
is going to be the people that are able to identify what those shortcomings are, or identify yourself what those shortcomings are, and then be able to bring them in so that you can actually create like an entity that operates on those four pillars. I think is pretty critical to move forward.
That's
So,
great.
right, like understanding where your shortcomings are yourself.
Right, right. We're here on CEOs You Should Know at iHeartMedia headquarters with Kent Yoshimura. Kent, thanks for coming by. Kent is CEO, co-founder of Neuro. I wanted to ask you, we can't leave our listeners not knowing what maybe is in the future for Neuro. Any exciting developments, expansions, horizons that you can share today?
Yeah, I mean, we got some big retailers coming up, so that's really exciting
That's
just
great.
from a company perspective. But our goal is to create the new generation of gummy mints. That's what we say internally all the time. Like gummy mints, as I mentioned before, has
Yeah.
not been innovated on forever. But also, how are we taking things that sit in your medicine cabinet and putting them into your pocket? There's so many things during the day that you would want, whatever it is, like the energy and focus, a level of calm if you're traveling, some sleep. Like, how do we create a product that you could always carry with you and fit those use cases
Right.
so that it's always accessible? And that's, our big goal for the future. And so we have a lot of cool new formulas and functions that are coming out.
That's great. Wow, that's going to leave everyone guessing. But it sounds super exciting for the company.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're keeping the staff of 78 super busy with these
Yeah.
innovations. If there's one thing that you want people to take away from the mission at Neuro, what would that be? What would you leave them with right now?
You know, we have a few things, but like at the end of the day, we want people to have good energy, which could translate into a million different things.
Yep.
And what does having good energy mean beyond just taking a product? It means living the best life that you could possibly live. So, even if you don't take our product, if you're inspired by how we present ourselves, how we present our company, and allowing you to live your best life and to go get it, go start that business,
Yeah.
go chase that idea.
Yeah.
Like go have that good energy to conquer your day.
Kent, what are you doing in terms of foundations that you're supporting or any philanthropic work on behalf of Neuro?
Yeah, so for us, giving back was always super important, especially with Ryan being paraplegic. Foundations like the High Five Foundation that provides accessibility for people who want to get back to snowboarding or mountain sports.
Yeah.
We donate to them. We have a great partnership with them. Neuro, as it stands, the idea of mental health is really important.
Mm-hmm.
So Team RWB, which is the biggest veterans mental health charity in the United States, we're one of their top partners, and we give back to them. And last year, talking about scuba diving and where the foundations of our company start with scuba diving, the ocean is obviously very, very important to us, and conservation is very important to us. So last year, through PADI, the biggest scuba diving organization in the world, we were the largest ocean conservation donor. And, some of our impact with ocean conservation can be seen along like the southern coast, the western coast, all the way to Ireland.
That's fantastic. Anything else that you want to share with the listeners that's been on your mind as an entrepreneur, as the CEO and co-founder for NeuroGum?
I think taking over Times Square, especially during that holiday season, was one of those just things that Ryan and I were dreaming about since like the very beginning, and for it to finally happen and see the impact that it really made, especially in like the New York area, was kind of a dream come true, right? Like checking off one of those bucket list items.
Yeah.
So super cool to see.
Well, you know what they say, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah, that's right.
So we talked, or you had just mentioned some new retailers, and best of luck with that. Where can people find you here in the tri-state area? We mentioned CVS earlier. Is there any other shout outs for retailers?
Yeah, I mean, CVS is a big one. We're in a bunch of bodegas, actually.
Yeah.
A bunch of bodegas around the area. Whole Foods is a great partner of ours. Like, we've been with them for a few years. We're entering into, I'll just say it on air, but, like the Targets and the Walmarts of the world, is coming very, very soon. So, yeah, be on the lookout.
Yeah. And I think something we can mention now, if you take the opportunity to share with our listeners, how can people engage with you online and on your socials?
Yeah, find us at Neurogum, NEUROGUM, across all channels.
Yeah. Okay. All channels. And is the product available direct to consumer from the website?
Yep, sure is. We're a top 100 product on Amazon.
Okay, wonderful.
So you can find us on the Amazon app. You can find us on TikTok. We're usually like a top 3 product on TikTok within our category. Yeah, if you search us, you will find us.
Okay, excellent. Well, I've really enjoyed our conversation, Ken. Congratulations on all the success. And if people want to learn more about you, are you on LinkedIn or do you have a blog that you do?
I don't have a blog that I do, but you can find me on LinkedIn at Kent Yoshimura, KENTYOSHIMURA.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.